Alright, YouTube, welcome back to ABC Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm your host, ABC, here with my co-host, Bear.
Howdy, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It's banlist time!
Now, alright, so here's the ban list. We've already taken a look at this because we don't do live reactions on this channel because, everybody else does it. Why would we? So, we already have seen that Block Dragon is on here. I think anybody with any bit of insight on how Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been played in the last, 3 months will understand that Block Dragon, Jet Synchron, and Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion are fairly standard hits onto the ban list. They're not going to hit Halka Febrax, even though, that's the main problem for Jet Synchron, and they're not going to hit Auroradon for O-Lion. And none of the new Adamancipator cards for Block Dragon or the Megalith archetype, all of them because they are new and they still have product out there that they want to be sold.
So,
Anything else to comment on those three bans?
one thing that you always see in Yu Gi Oh! Is that depending on the age of the card, you can kind of tell when it's going to get hit because Konami likes to basically peddle their wares, their business after all. So, it makes sense. It's sad to see because O Lion was, you do some pretty interesting combos with, which were nice. Synchron makes perfect sense. Everyone has been calling for that for almost half a year now, and Block Dragon was inevitable because Animancipator is insane. However, for the rest of the bands, there's no more bands on the new list. However, if we move down here, all those Pendulum players are probably really excited because they now have a double Iris Magician again. So I'm
Now,
sure that is probably their happy dance right now. They're probably so excited.
Now, most of us players who haven't been playing around with Pendulum Magicians for a long time, let's look up Double Iris Magician here because I know that most people are probably not going to look it up. Okay, it's part of the Magician Pendulum archetype, and it allows you to once per turn, you can target one dark spellcaster type monster you control, apply this effect to it, then destroy this card. Once per turn, once applied, double any battle damage that monster inflicts to your opponent this turn. I do not believe that that's the effect that it was banned for. I believe maybe this second effect here. It's already always treated as a pendulum dragon card. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, which it destroys itself by its first effect, you can add one pendulum graph card from your deck to your hand. So because it can add pendulum graph from your deck to your hand, basically by its first effect, giving you a really easy way in Magicians to OTK your opponent just like nothing else. This card was put onto the forbidden list for the longest time, making it, coming off just a bit interesting, wondering where they're going to go with that, what product line they might be trying to line up there. The Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche, that one, pretty much anybody who saw their announcement of a Phantom Knights structure deck coming out would understand that this was probably going to happen. We're not saying that it's a good thing that happened. We're just saying it's now there.
I'm excited about it.
As everybody should know, my co-host plays Phantom Knights.
Well, I play PK Fire.
Yes, PK
I do a
Fire,
bit
which
more.
we will get to a little bit later on in the list.
And now then, for all those folks that hate your hand traps, well, guess what? You can hate them even more because Call by the Grave is now down to one. And just to put that into perspective, not a single hand trap has been limited, not a single hand trap has been touched. But the one thing that can actually stop that kind of nonsense is now down to one. So yeah, prepare for a lot of hand traps, a lot of control decks popping up, and also prepare for a lot of loops, as we'll see later on in the list.
See, Called by the Grave was a stopper for a lot of decks being able to have at least a bit more consistency against those hand traps because it is a very important portion of deck building that you're like, all right, so how am I going to stop these interruptions? And now you basically don't have that.
Now then, here's something that everyone's been waiting for a
Oh
hot
my
second.
gosh.
Harpy's Feather Duster is now to one, so all hopes of a Dark Magician meta have been thrown out the window and stepped on into the burn pile that was my hopes and dreams. So, yeah, I mean, it was already pretty much there. There's plenty of cards like Lightning Storm that could just clear back rows, so Harpy's Feather Duster should have came off
This
a
is an
while ago.
this is an interesting limit though because of as of recently they've actually been hitting hard back row destruction and back row removal. Like Red Reboot, they just limited that one not too long ago. So that makes me wonder, why are they limiting? So basically, coming off the ban list with Harpy's Feather Duster
Which has been sitting
when
there
they've
for
limited Red Reboot for pretty much no reason.
oh, there was plenty of reason to hit Red Reboot. Mostly, it was a pre-hit for a um, Ultrageist. But the thing about Feather Duster is that it's been on the ban list longer than most of the modern average age of players nowadays.
Which is
So
kind of sad if you think about it.
it is. It's an old boy, and in all honesty, it's amazing to see it back, and it's going to be all over the place for a minute. But the reason why I think that what's going to probably end up happening, it's probably going to move its way to three. This is just them testing the waters because there's already cards in the meta and in the game today that do the same thing and more than what Feather Duster does. And so, most likely, what's going to happen, this is going to be their first test. They're going to let it sit there for a second. Probably next list, it'll come to two, and then they'll probably pop it out to three at some point. They might leave it at two in a while because Konami just loves themselves that way and put things to two just for shenanigans' sake. But all in all, Harpy's Feather Duster, I'm not too concerned as as it is due to the fact that there are so many other cards that do what it does. It's just this the OG that made a lot of those cards like Lightning Storm um, big, basically. So that's it for the limits, which is kind of interesting. I was kind of wondering if we were going to see any traps move around at all, but nope, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So, however, whether you like it or whether you hate it, moving down to the semi limited list, we have a couple of interesting things to see. Number one, we finally get two ABCs back, which is good.
Yes, which is correct. I mean, it shouldn't be the fact that, it shouldn't be less than three, but honestly, most ABC players anymore that are going for a bit more competitive route, two will be just fine.
And the fact that
And
we have Toad back is nice. They put these on the limited list because they were freaking out and they sort of just jumped the gun. Now then, two things that I'm happy to see back: Seer and Graph of the Burning Abyss. Okay, both of these uh, basically point, as we were saying earlier, the fact there's a Phantom Knight structure deck release. For folks that don't know, or folks that may not have ever been around during the time that this was a good deck, there used to be a deck called PK Fire, which is Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights put together into a glorious, unholy matrimony of sheer stupidity. And
now,
the fact that you got Bardage back, the fact that these two are now at two, these two, so Seer special summons from Grave, it's Monster Reborn, and Graph special summons from deck.
for those
Uh,
who do not understand why PK Fire works so well, is all the Burning Abyss main deck monsters can summon themselves with if you don't control any back row, and they are all level 3. Now, almost all the good Phantom Knight cards are all level 3, and all of them are dark, they are fiends, and they all get a really good effect or some extra effects when they're sent from the deck or other places to the graveyard. Now,
So one thing that you'll actually note real quick, the reason why a lot of you might know Burning Abyss from Monster Mash decks, because of their one cop out. Number one is that they can't be on the field with other types of monsters, and number two, if you have a spell trap set, they can't special summon themselves. Which is why you used to see them in decks that ran grass all the time, because Farfa of the Burning Abyss, when it's sent to the grave, banishes a card for a turn. One thing that you'll notice is that a lot of the things they moved around on this list really are probably more for product placement than anything else. I
this
do
is, I
feel
would
the
say, one
first,
of the largest product placement lists I've seen pretty much ever, actually. This is almost entirely all product placement,
and the reason
except for
why
ABC and Totally Awesome.
now one also with everything they did for the bands. Now
Well, that too.
the reason why they're doing that is because there's not a lot of competition right now, so they don't really have everything to go off of. So they're going off of what information they have, which is what products are being released, the events we have seen, what will interfere with our new products that we're putting out, and what do we need to do in order for people to want to purchase more. And one thing that we can
All right,
really
so uh, we are here with the Unlimits, and the first one, which is frankly the most unworldly thing that we have seen here, because it went from Forbidden just straight to Unlimited, is Makuria the Destructor. Now, in the OCG, he had a errata, but that has not happened yet in the TCG. Uh, and as it stands, as I'm showing you on screen now, that is his effect. During the turn he was sent to the graveyard, you can activate traps from the hand. Now, why is this a problem, one might say, because one has never understood trap cards at all. The entirety of their balance is that they are built around not being able to activate them in the first turn. And the amount of trap cards that allow you to just draw cards, there are so many of them that you could probably get through your entire deck in that one turn, allowing for whatever FTK that you're trying to get to. Now, Makuria the Destructor, we're guessing, is going to get a reprint sometime soon.
well, not guessing he has to.
He must, otherwise there's going to be FTKs galore. And the fact that there's three of him, and the fact that he is a warrior searchable with Rhoda, and freaking Isolde, that she's able to even plop him out onto the field and then link him away for whatever. This makes us very concerned and wondering when he's going to get reprinted, because he will be reprinted. Next is Tour Guide from the Underworld. If you've been paying attention, this is obvious because it went from 1 to 2. Now it's at 3. Now, my co-host is going to talk about the Eve... I can never say these things right. Eva Gishki Gustkraken.
Ghost Kraken.
It says Gust. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. So, okay, this card, for anyone who has never played against Gishkis, this one card was it's a problem child. So it's not a hard once per turn, which means you can loop it. It's similar to the same problems like Trish used to have, well, still has, where you can loop this for hand loop. And this coming to 3, for anyone who still has those old Gishki decks laying around just waiting to hand loop people to oblivion again, now's your time. Have fun with that, because this thing is easy to plonk out with Gishkis. It is easy to recycle, and it is easy to just get all the hand loops to your heart's content. And so I'm certain that that's going to be short-lived, or if it's not taken to full extent of what it can do, then maybe it'll be around for a little bit. But this thing is a chunky boy that shuffles two random cards in from your opponent's hand. And the thing is that well, you get to shuffle back one, but you get to look at two cards in your opponent's hand, and you can recycle this just to clear through their entire hand and have all the hand knowledge, even if you don't. So that's always fun.
And
It's
the hand loop was around long before we had all this extra ritual support in the incantations. This
yes,
was
no,
around long before that.
Gish keys are able to do this without any modern support. So with what they have now access to, I'm certain people are going to work try and rebuild that old loop. Now then, for all you Monarch players or True Draco players or anyone that plays tribute based decks, you now have Pantheism to 3, which is a long time coming. It should have happened a lot sooner than it did. I think they were mostly just concerned about True Dracos, to be quite frank. That's why Pantheism stayed off for so long. It's kind of interesting to see. I'm certain some True Draco people, some Monarch players will try to couple of cheeky things because Pantheism is such a good card. And it's nice to see. It honestly is. This is a card that's paid its penance. It's time for it to show back up and actually be used again. And last but not least on this list is Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. Now, as long as Engage is banned, life is fine. This is not concerning, honestly. It boosts Sky Strikers to where they're able to do a better control strategy. I was never fussed about Striker to begin with when they were at the top of their game, and with Anchor being at 3 now, it's good for them, I guess. Basically, it's converted them into a pure control strategy. They can't do anything else really at this point.
As long as Engage is forbidden and multi role and Hornet drones are limited, the power level of Sky Striker is just kind of mediocre, even with Widow Anchor to 3. Granted, I hate the deck still, and I lose to it constantly. Well, that's the ban list from that came out, and we are done with this. I believe we are possibly going to do a live stream on Saturday night.
Saturday night will probably be our live stream time. So keep an eye out for that. We'll go live, have some fun, kick it back nice and easy. Otherwise, we hope you have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Remember to keep calm and enjoy yourselves with this new band list of mirth and merriment. Try out some new things, swap out some decks. Some of you may be crying, some of you may be laughing with excitement, but either way, that's what it is, and we coming to you with the band list, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
And goodbye.